Senator Scullion.
Mr Acting Deputy President, I rise to make the Coalition's contribution to amendments to the Indigenous Affairs Legislation Amendment Bill No. 2 of 2011. This bill, the Indigenous Affairs Legislation Bill, contains one schedule that makes amendments to effectively three areas of Indigenous Affairs legislation. The first is to change the title to a number of office holders. The second is to ensure that information that's held by Indigenous Business Australia will be appropriately protected. And the third is to remove some references to the availability of review under the Judicial Review Act of 1977. The first part of the changes, of course, is the change in the job title. Presently, a number of statutory positions created under the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Act of 2005 refer to the term General Manager. So these roles are deemed to be better reflected with the title Chief Executive Officer, and this actually brings it into line with other agencies. Whilst it doesn't seem particularly important on the face of it, the change of the title from General Manager to Chief Executive Officer doesn't involve any changes to remuneration package associated with the positions, and aligning the position titles with comparable positions and other authorities is expected to assist these boards actually attracting suitably qualified applicants. Indigenous, the second area of amendment deals with Indigenous Business Australia. Currently there's a secrecy provisions relating to Indigenous Business Australia in section 191 of the Act, has at times prevented disclosure of information to agencies responsible for overseeing the Commonwealth administrative practices, things like the Ombudsman and the Privacy Commissioner. It has clearly prevented disclosure when that wasn't intended, and so they would be quite happy apparently to have provided that information but are unable to because of these provisions. So this amendment will allow for the disclosure of information in limited circumstances, and hopefully will also allow further scrutiny by indeed this place. The last process, there are two discontinued Aboriginal hostel schemes. They're unlikely to be reinstated, and they're currently subject to the normal processes that take place in terms of auditing and compliance procedures, which of course are not only onerous but unnecessary but expensive, and clearly this is just a tidying up process. And we would support those three amendments. We think they're sensible amendments. When this bill was originally introduced in the other place, there was in fact a second schedule that involved procedures for making acting or temporary appointments for the Executive Director of Township Leasing and the Coordinator General for Remote Indigenous Services. Now, we've advised the government that we would oppose this schedule for the reasons that we think both these positions were designed to remain completely separate from those individual agencies. We still remain concerned that both of these positions are being incrementally absorbed into FACSIA, and we think that independence is absolutely central to directing some of these very important changes. So rather than having these changes compromised, we believe these positions must remain an appointment by the Minister and not actually delegated by a government department. Now, the government moved an amendment in the other place to remove Schedule 2 of the original bill, which acknowledged and satisfied the opposition's concerns in this regard, which leaves the Indigenous Affairs Legislation Amendment Bill No. 2 as it's presented today. I thank the government for supporting the very sensible coalition amendments, and the coalition supports the bill as printed.